We had a recent issue with a component that was migrated or moved, and a simple missing JavaScript function passed bool or passed boolean.
Sorry about that,
Um,
Lee.
no worries, no worries.
Rigel was in the room.
So I'm just giving a tiny background. So yeah, we had
Oh,
an
sorry.
issue
I heard
with
you talking. I thought you were talking to me.
no issue with missing pass boolean, and the issue is it wasn't caught by unit tests. So we're just having a look to see if we can write a feature spec that will handle it, or what we've already got, and if we can tweak something. So yeah, sorry, Andrew. You see, you copied a similar-ish one, right?
Yeah, so there's already a spec that interacts with the Auto DevOps banner.
Okay.
Um, and if I run that, uh, if I run that in here, that will pass with flying colors. Like there's no issues with running that. It does take forever. Um, while that's going on in the background. But if I copy the whole file and
Hmm.
put it into this new one, a new file just called drop down action specs. When I run that, half of the tests fail for
Interesting.
some weird error about uh, find fork by or something like that.
Okay.
Um, quickly show that this is actually passing.
Yeah.
So I am running it in GCK, and I don't have Chrome installed, so I've got to run it through Firefox, but that doesn't seem to be
Okay.
causing any issues.
Maybe I'll simultaneously try and do the same thing as you, just to see what happens.
There we go. So the original spec works fine.
So user
The drop,
interacts with DevOps spec.
yeah,
I will try running that original one.
copying that. So that was what I just ran. The only thing that I'm changing now is that spec file. Um,
Okay.
and running that, it will fail. Yeah, I think it says something like um namespace find with fork, and then it passes the project in. I've been
Right.
trying to narrow the issue down, and I think it's something to do with when you call visit project path project,
Yeah.
but I cannot work out what's causing the issue. I don't know if I
Uh,
need to register the new spec file somewhere or I don't know.
I don't believe so. And I think I've added a feature spec recently as well.
There we go. Yeah, namespace find fork of project. And it's saying that the find fork of for nil class, so namespace is nil, but don't know where that's coming from.
And which spec have you copied, duplicated to create this drop down action spec?
The DevOps banner spec.
Okay, so where is that? Because there's no reference to namespace in that spec, so it must be something a dependency that's
Yeah.
boolean.
Like I said, I think it's when you call visit project path project.
Oh, okay.
Um, because it's such long. The first one passes, and first that first spec doesn't call visit project path, but then the other ones do.
Okay.
No, what that one? Hang on a second.
Ah.
Oh, that isn't. Oh, here we go. This. Oh, I should have just read it a bit more. I thought I might have. I saw this one before the order
Yeah.
to do,
Yeah.
and then reading the top, they're not running in random orders. They've got to run in the defined order.
Ah.
But I can't see why that would make a difference. But I completely missed this other file. User with namespace shim. That sounds very,
Good when just being here is enough.
very relevant. Yeah, yeah.
You're definitely 2 steps ahead of me at the moment.
Oh, I mean, if this is it, I'll be glad that it was a nice, easy fix. But also, this should probably be documented somewhere.
But even if it was, would you like? I suppose if it was documented at the top of the spec file itself, but
Maybe. I
like,
have been reading this as well, and I don't recall it. Yeah, I didn't see anything about namespace shim. But it's a very, not obtuse, obscure
yeah,
file. What does this shim actually do?
hmm. You think it's sort of setting up a bit of environment,
There we
creating
go.
a user and a namespace and a bits and bobs.
I don't know. It doesn't seem to determine if the spec file name from the current. Shim spec list includes spec file.
Before all, that's a bit at the end, I think. So,
Oh,
what's it
say that again, sorry.
actually? At the end, it says before all do and after all. So, yeah. So, what does that? Oh,
That just calls shim there, doesn't it?
Jim, which then calls self.enabled equals spec file.
It's just memoized.
Oh,
No
don't
idea.
really. Yeah, don't really.
But that
But
did cause it to
it
pass.
does the trick.
Oh, oh well. That is very good to know. And now I can delete all of this and try and work out how to actually write the test. Because I don't really know what I'm doing.
We can spend a few more. I do want to jump off fairly soon, but we could have a quick.
Sign in, visit, project, project. I think I just want to really, I just want to check if it has the project settings. I can probably do this a little bit page dot within I don't know. I'll sort that bit out later. All I'm doing really is that if you have like an owner
Yeah.
or maintainer, I guess would be the one as well, then you should be able to see project settings.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you shouldn't see it.
Is this a group? Have you done group as well, or is this just project at the moment?
This is just projects at the moment.
Cool. And yeah, I think it would sort of make sense as well. Eventually, obviously, you're working on that whole top section, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if there isn't, then I guess like having a bit of cover for the whole top section almost, because it's really interesting. I know everyone's got different views on this, but somebody did say like I kind of love unit tests, right? Isolation, testing these kind of small bits, and if you break anyone or you make any change to any logic, tests fail, it's all good. But yeah, somebody sort of said once to me about like almost like a smoke test is almost the best thing initially. Like just make sure that you can like hit the application homepage or something like that, because your 8,000 units might be working fine, but if the data they're expecting to pass is all mocked in all these like unit tests, etc., then it's no help whatsoever. And I think this is a similar sort of one where I know we enforce a certain level of unit test coverage, but here almost a feature spec would be infinitely more powerful than 100 unit tests, because we don't really care what the Hamel's doing, the Vue's doing, the JavaScript's doing, the Ruby's doing, the helpers, all the bits and pieces. All we're interested in is how it behaves when we look at the page, really.
Yeah, and that's exactly why this wasn't caught, because each individual component was testing that the props it gets works. The problem was the prop that the page was sending to the component wasn't correct. So until you're doing that whole end to end, the problem is though, you can see how slow the tests are here. If you're doing that for every single component, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but then I don't know. Again, we probably have got some guidance. Like, I'm not a massive fan of the way we name these. You know, like user interacts with whatever, etc. But I think that is our guidance. But I wonder if we get away with a bit more of like, well, okay, if we're visiting this page, can we check 3 or 4 things? Like this drop down is going to show the copy ID button, the project settings button, maybe a few other bits and pieces as well at some point. So I guess if we can test half a dozen things, then actually you're probably covering like 20 unit tests with just like a couple of feature tests, which like you say, it's once it's spun up the page and the engine and that, it's all good, really.
Yeah. But yeah, they should definitely test, like you were saying, the project ID and that kind of stuff. I think there's only 2 things in this, aren't there? The project
Although
ID
then you've got to figure out if you can access the clipboard in Capybara, which I'm sure you probably can, but
to make sure you actually copy it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. Awesome.
Let's see. I ran the wrong test last time, but
okay.
I think this is basically all the test needs to do, though. I think add the user to the project or not. Go to the page and then check that, and then there'll be another one.
So the way
should actually be in here.
I was going to say, I tend to, and again, what you should probably you tend to test the threshold, if that makes sense. So, like, you'd maintainer rather than owner on line 30.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's particularly right or wrong. It depends what other stuff you're going to do, but I would tend to use like a single block, and I would expect it to fail first, and then I would nest the context inside of that that then sets the role and expects it to pass, but it's much of a muchness, if you know what I mean. It's just a
Yeah.
different way of collecting them.
So that's interesting. Star 0, Fork 0, project ID, and then node project settings. But there should be.
There's no flags or
Not once they're on.
your branch is up to date. And also, I don't normally use add member, but I suppose it's because you've tried to make it dynamic. I was going to say,
No, that's just because I copied it from the other file.
Oh, gotcha. So I'm sure that's valid, but I would normally just do like add maintainer. But that if you've copied it from elsewhere, there's not going to be any
Is what's the difference between when the role's dynamic? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But that isn't going to make any difference. It took a screenshot, did it? Or not?
Yeah, it should have done actually. Or the HTML page. I think I need. Got to work out where that maps to. Actually, can I open that? Is that going to work? That's the page.
It's pretty hard to.
That's the drop-down menu. Yeah.
Project
it does have it there. What?
I suspect, is it the way that we render drop downs by not actually putting the content of the drop down inside the drop down, if that makes sense? So can you show me your assertion again?
Just have content.
Oh, you're just checking the entire page as well?
Yeah.
So you're not even specifically looking in the drop down. Okay, that's interesting.
But that wasn't shown on here. Because here we've got, that's the project ID, which is that bit there. Oh, this is hidden. I don't think.
Got it.
I think, do we need like have text or something? Is that a thing?
Certainly try it. Maybe even you should click on the drop down.
Oh yeah. How do I do that? Something like that. What would this be? Click.
To be honest, you could just copy the line 44 because you don't need to wait for a request.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't. Yeah, because it's probably. Gosh, stop scrolling. Is that ID dynamic?
Probably you want to use the test ID.
Yeah. Can you do? Oh, that's not right.
If you go back to the other spec you were looking at, there was actually a find call.
Oh yeah, fine.
That's it. So you can use a CSS type selector, I think. Yeah, let's try something like that.
And then we want to do. We just do that?
Probably.
we'll obviously clean this up properly once it's working.
Oh yeah.
How's the GDK in a box going?
Yeah, good actually.
Had any other feedback or
Not
improvements?
tons, which I take as pretty good, if you know what I mean. So essentially, there's like a couple of things. My plan was to kind of let it bed in a little bit and make sure that it's getting used and that it warrants investing a little bit more time and effort into.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're waiting to get a little bit more data really.
Do you know if
But
many people within GitLab are using it?
I don't know. I don't. I mean, I know a handful that have definitely tried it and gotten okay with it. I don't know if they're still using it day to day. Good work. I mean, if nothing else, I think like me and Missy are two of those people. I think Oksana on our team's using it as well. So it's definitely a few. And we see on the Discord like a few people asking questions. So I definitely think they're there too. Our metrics, like we're trying to improve the telemetry stuff a little bit so that we can get a bit more data on it. So that, like I say, we then know whether it's worth investing a bit more time and effort. But there's some fun things that we need to sort of think about, like when we're making changes, how do we roll those out to the people that are already using it? So did you see we had a little bit of a problem with an SSH key?
No, I've not actually tried using it yet.
So there's an SSH key on the box, which is basically used to connect to the box. But somebody added that to their GitLab account so that they could push to GitLab, and rather than generating their own or using their own key, that then meant everybody's GDK in a box was pushing and reporting to be this single user. So we wanted a way really to be able to kind of programmatically delete that SSH key from everyone's machine. But you know, we haven't built anything like that at the moment. So it's a case of updating the image, and that's about it. Or even a way to kind of notify the people that are using it. So things to think about. But like I say, I think we looked at numbers, and we've got a dashboard that shows for people that have telemetry enabled, like how many people have run certain commands. And the GDK start command had been run on GDK in a box in like the last week, like 50 times or something. And then in the last month, about 250 times. So there's some people using it, but it's a bit of an unknown at the moment. So yeah, we'll get a bit more data and go from there.
That sounds good though. Do you know what the general usage stats are for regular GDK?
No idea. That's the problem. I'm actually the one that's added telemetry to all of it, if that makes sense, because we really, like, one of the things that we know is that GDK is a little bit flaky and like has issues, but we had no way of measuring that to even be able to kind of do a project to improve its stability. So I implemented like the telemetry stuff to be able to start collecting that data, but we haven't really had the capacity or focus to start looking at that data and actually actioning it yet. So yeah, it's hard to know.
I was trying to set up GDK on another laptop, and I noticed when I was running the one line thing, it was like, do you want to send some telemetry to GitLab? I was like, sure, okay.
Did you go anonymous, or did you?
No. I put my username in there. Awesome. If you go and check, I should be on the list now.
Yeah, I'm sure you will be. Yeah, no, that's it, and I think I don't know. Maybe some people like I know, especially certain countries in Europe are a bit more sort of privacy focused, etc. But yeah, like I think it's a development environment, and in order to improve the development environment, you need especially the error data. Oh, here we
Hmm.
go. Does it fail?
Yeah, so I was testing. I don't know if you were keeping an eye on. I've tested that. So have text and have content both work after adding the click drop down.
Right.
So I've gone back to
So
content now,
what
swapping
I
those
would
around, and it failed, as you'd expect.
oh, what I would suggest you, I know you're still tidying it up, etc., but I would suggest that you actually, if you can, try and look for that content specifically. I know you're clicking the drop down, but page settings could be in like the navigation menu, or it could be anywhere, sort of thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was saying. On uh in here, I'd do something like page dart within
cool, cool.
um oh no, oh it's deleted the HTML now. Where's view source? Where is view source? Oh, okay. Uh, hmm, okay, can't find anything in there now. Yay, that still works. Should that still work? No, that should not still work. So that's not
Shouldn't.
good. No, it will still work because this is very annoying and I need to run compile assets when you change the
Is it
JavaScript.
a V issue or?
No, I'm still on Webpack. I think it's a GCK
Oh, okay.
thing because I'm now running in a shell inside the containers. And I don't think it's got access to the assets in a different container or something. I'm not sure.
Right.
I really like containers, but I think it needs a lot more work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's why I'm doing GDK on a different laptop because I can just like dedicate it to doing GitLab stuff.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, I don't know if you want to hang around for this or if you want to
I'm interested just to
pop off.
see, like, because
See if
obviously
it.
the fruit of your labor is that it correctly identifies the bug. So yeah, I'd be keen. Does it take to build the assets? Does it take?
I couldn't tell you. I normally set it going and then go and do some coding or something, and then come back and it's
Uh,
finished. Um, while it is doing that, I can have a check on the syntax for within page within.
yeah, I've not actually. I haven't done much with feature specs. I've not gone that far before. I thought it'd be fairly straightforward. Or maybe I would have not used expect page to have. I would have maybe done like expect drop down to have or something like that.
Yeah.
But again, there's probably a pattern that you can find.
Page within expect page to have. Okay. So I still reference it as page. Okay. Expect page to have, and then that would be oh actually, should I say within this? That should be fine, shouldn't it? Because that's on the parent
Probably.
component.
Yeah, probably.
I probably shouldn't change all this though until just so the precompile takes 68 seconds. How long does a normal compile take? It's quite frustrating because I don't think it reuses any cache either.
Well, I guess
Because
that's
I
the point, is it? That it's kind of destroying all the cache and recreating it all from scratch.
I don't know what the point is, to be honest. Um, yeah, I think normally when you're running this in GDK, then like your Webpack Watcher is fine because it's when you run the specs, you're still running it in the same location. So it
Yeah.
can do incremental builds, but because this is separate, there's nothing watching those files
Yeah, I
within the
vaguely recall
container.
us having a look. Kind of, I don't know if this is related or not, but when I was playing more with GCK and I couldn't figure out, I couldn't get it to. I think it was through like I notify in my instance that like
Hmm.
when I was making a change on my machine that wasn't sending the I notify event to the Docker VM, whatever you want to call it. So it didn't know that the file had changed. And, like you say, it didn't
Yeah.
do that incremental. What's it? So.
Do you know what these warnings are about? Are they actually
No,
relevant?
I do
Okay,
not know, I'm afraid. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes.
sure.
All right, I disappear. What was it
Ah,
saying? What was?
you've got two fragments called the same thing. Fragment content
Okay.
fragment, content fragment.
Oh, and it's a me thing, is it?
Well, in this case, this one happens to be. I didn't realize that. That's you, and then Marco looks like he's copied it. But fragments are supposed to be unique, apparently. Oh, there you go. Uh, yeah. So this should fail, shouldn't it? Please tell me I say that correctly. Yeah. Watching a black screen. Oh, there we go. I do like the fact GitLab enforces random orders for the tests.
Yeah.
Back
I don't know if that's all Ruby specs, etc. But I have noticed you saw that N+1 that I was working on.
mhm.
And every time, because it was quite a quick spec to run, I was running the whole file and not just the specific one. So I think there were 6 tests, and the failure would be arbitrarily like in a different position every time. Was it simple? That's the failure, right? That we were looking for.
Yeah, so that's failing. So this should have, yeah, project settings because it's always
Brilliant.
returning true.
Perfect. Um, so you
Yeah.
need to spruce up your spec a little bit, and then
Oh, yeah.
refix your bug and recompile all your assets, and then you should be good to go.
Yes. Um, thank you very much, Lee.
No worries, I didn't do a lot. Fixed it yourself, but it was interesting digging anyway, and good to share. So thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Well, You too. Take care.